Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Speaker and Honorable members, before I make my statement, I would like to dedicate this moment to remembering one of Fiji's long-service civil servants who left us a week ago. Mr. Pramesh Chand was a dedicated civil servant. He was humble, considered, and hardworking. His calm demeanor touched many lives. His sense of duty shone through in everything that he did in his final days. He faithfully carried out his duties to the fullest extent of his abilities. Mr. Chand was one who we can all attest was proud of his heritage and his nation, carrying our noble banner blue until the very end. We thank his family for the life that he lived for Fiji. We know that life ends, Mr. Speaker, but our responsibility to remember continues, lest we forget. Mr. Speaker, so during the week, July the 1st to the 7th, I led a Government of Fiji delegation on a high-level visit to Australia after the Government of Australia after my visit in October 2023. I was accompanied by the Minister of Defense and Veterans Affairs, Minister for Immigration, the Minister for Policing, Permanent Secretary, the Office of the Prime Minister, Permanent Secretary for Civil Service and Public Enterprise, and the Deputy Commander of the Republic of Fiji Military Forces. The delegation was joined by Fiji's High Commissioner to Australia, Fiji High Commission officials in Canberra, and an official providing media coverage. The Fiji High Commission in Canberra provided local support, air and ground transportation, local cost and accommodation for the Prime Minister and delegation members during the official program was funded by the Australian government. On arrival in Canberra on the 1st of July, the delegation was met by the Minister for Home Affairs and Arts, Cybersecurity, Immigration and Citizenship, the Honourable Tony Burke, MP. The Minister had meetings with us and discussed avenues to develop closer cooperation on combating crime, especially drugs, strengthening law enforcement, maritime domain security, and border management. A traditional welcome to the country. Their ceremony of welcome to the country was accorded to the delegation by the Ngunnawal Senior Elder, Ms. Violet Sheridan, and representatives of her tribe, the traditional custodians of the land on which ACT stands. Also in attendance at the ceremony was Tara Shane, member of the Legislative Assembly, is Attorney General of the Australian Capital Territory, who welcomed the delegation to the capital. Paid a courtesy call on Her Excellency, Ms. Sam Mostyn, the Governor General of Australia at Australia Government House. Governor General acknowledged the enduring strength of the renewed elevation of the Vuvale Partnership and welcomed Fiji's support to regional solidarity and collaboration. Discussions spanned Australia and Fiji's close economic partnership, infrastructure development, security, and sports cooperation. Excellency acknowledged the significant contributions of the Fijian community in Australia. In life, Mr. Speaker, sir, we do things and we help. In some cases, we even save others. On many occasions, we do those to those people who may not know us, some we don't even know, and some we never meet again. and probably do those things just because we feel that we were at the right place at the right time to do some good to someone. Whatever it may be, we must remember that the good people that helped us in the past and stood with us in those precarious moments in our lives that may have defined the lives we have had and until our death. I hosted a reunion dinner while I was in Canberra with my Indian Defence Services Staff College alumni. We had attended Indian Staff College in 1979. And one of us was visiting Australia at the time, Colonel retired Sarat Jayawarna of Sri Lanka, and his wife. Also joined by Mr. Stephen Sainsbury of Australia and his wife, Margaret Sainsbury. Our guests included His Excellency Andrew Need, New Zealand High Commissioner to Australia, Mr. Tiana Brown, the eldest daughter of Mark Brown, the Prime Minister of the Cook Islands, and the dinner provided an opportunity to convey my appreciation to the governments of Sri Lanka, New Zealand, and the Cook Islands for the successful rescue mission undertaken in 1988, where a freighter with 89 Cook Island nationals was hijacked by pirates in the Indian Ocean. The harbour master in the Cook Islands at the time, known to some of us, and Lema Afu, a former officer of the Fiji Navy, called me to ask for my assistance. I didn't know what to do. I was here, and hijack and pirate action was happening in the Indian Ocean. Anyway, I called Colombo and asked for Sarat, and Sarat was willing to help, and we successfully rescued them with a joint operation between the Indian Navy and the Sri Lankan Navy. The pirates were captured, the hostages released, as well as their cargo. The hostages or the crewmen were flown back to New Zealand by Sri Lanka and flown by New Zealand to the Cook Islands. So everything went well for them, and I met one of them in my last visit to the Cook Islands. On the 2nd of July, the delegation visited the Australian Border Force headquarters, where we were received by the Commissioner of the Border Force, Mr. Gavin Reynolds, and his leadership team. Both sides recognized the increasing intensity and complexity of transnational organized crime through the maritime and air domains within the Pacific region. We discussed avenues to improve Fiji's border management system against emerging regional security challenges. The ABF leadership team provided an overview of ABF's operations and measures of countering unlawful activities such as illegal, unregistered, and unregulated fishing within Australia's exclusive economic zone, and the application of policy frameworks, domestic legislation and international conventions when responding to illegal activities within Australia's maritime zones. In the process, we discussed measures and avenues of collaboration, as no one country can alone deal with the issues of transnational organized crime. Fiji's side provided updates on Fiji's Maritime Essential Services Center, MESC, National Security Strategy, and the proposed Maritime Security Policy, and both sides recognized the importance of timely exchange of information and agreed that in view of the overlapping interests of maritime security, stronger cooperation on border management and maritime security are needed. The meeting also explored ways to elevate border management with technology solutions, sharing of information and best practices. Work is now underway between Fiji Immigration and the AUVD, the ABF counterpart on the Migration Enforcement and Response Intelligence Tool, MERIT. This work is linked to the Advanced Passenger Information System and the passenger name record, also in the current work program. During the visit, Fiji's e-passport was commissioned and is now fully operational and compatible with the Australian Smart Gate system, enabling Fijian travelers to utilize automated border processing at major international airports in Australia. The delegation was given a tour around the ABF watch floor, a combined 24/7 multi-agency operation with the ABF, within the ABF, conducting real-time monitoring, surveillance of Australian border agencies and those from friendly nations around the region. Following the meeting, Mr. Speaker, sir, the ABF introduced me or gave me the opportunity to address the Australian media representatives and dignitaries at the National Press Club of Australia. In the address, I reaffirmed Fiji's foreign policy statement as presented in the Foreign Policy White Paper of 2024, which set out a family-first Pacific regionalism as its foundation. In discussing the Ocean of Peace concept, I emphasized that Fiji's highest strategic priority was a stable Indo-Pacific region, and its most significant security threat lies in the prospect of a region driven by division, insecurity, and instability. The Ocean of Peace is Fiji's contribution towards ensuring a peaceful and stable region in the midst of growing geopolitical tensions. On the Fiji and Australia-Buvale partnership, and in acknowledging the growing cooperation between our two countries, the emerging regional and global security situation, our relationship needs to step up. My address at the National Press Club focused specifically on the Pacific as the Ocean of Peace, in recognition of the scope and strategic goals of the Ocean of Peace. With maturing Buvale partnership, I proposed that it is time to consider enhancing the partnership with a security agreement or a treaty. I acknowledge that my address and response to questions from the media at the National Press Club gained media traction within Australia and the wider Pacific region, particularly my confirmation that the government of Fiji will not agree to the establishment of a foreign military base in Fiji. On the afternoon of the 2nd of July, the delegation paid its respect at the Australian War Memorial. During the solemn last post ceremony at the commemorative courtyard, we laid wreaths by the pool of reflection in remembrance of soldiers that had served and lost their lives in the call of duty, honoring their sacrifice for the freedom we enjoy today. In the evening, our High Commissioner hosted a welcoming reception at the Fiji High Commission in honor of all our visit. In attendance were members of the Diplomatic Corps in Canberra, officials from the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and members of the Fijian community. Following the cocktail reception, the Fijian community in Canberra hosted the delegation to a dinner and a Talanoa session. The interaction at the event was an opportunity to update the community in Canberra on the government development progress and plans. The event also provided an opportunity for members of diaspora to discuss issues directly with the ministers. The ministers will later be giving their own ministerial statements in relation to that visit. On the 3rd of July, Mr. Speaker, sir, the delegation departed the Shoalwater Bay training area in central Queensland, where 129 Republic of Fiji military forces personnel are currently engaged in a five-month military exercise under exercise Talisman Sabre, Defense Force Talisman Sabre 2025. The exercise is the largest combined military exercise by the Australian Defence Force involving 30,000 military personnel from 19 nations. The visit to Shoalwater Bay underscored the depth of the security cooperation between the Australian Defence Forces and the RFMF. The RFMF contingent is part of a rotational company pilot that the first of its kind with any Pacific Defence Force. The arrangement enabled ADF and RFMF personnel to integrate, collaborate, and build collective capability prior to conducting a series of combined exercises at Talisman Sabre 2025. True comradeship was on full display as 129 RFMF personnel trained with their Australian counterparts. As part of ongoing military cooperation between Fiji and Australia, the event included joint training exercise aimed at enhancing interoperability, sharing tactical knowledge, strengthening regional security ties, learning from one another with mutual respect and shared purpose. During the visit, the Fiji delegation also observed firsthand a live demonstration of an offensive training phase at the heart of the renewed and elevated Wuvale partnership. This bond reflects our deep commitment to one another, standing together and moving forward as one family. The pilot will inform options for potential future cooperation models. The visit was an opportunity to impress on the Fijian company the importance of service, loyalty, and professionalism. As a former soldier, I know what such visit does in the morale of those that we were visited. It reaffirmed the troops' dedication to serve. The visit to Shoalwater Bay concluded with singing and cheering from the troops. On the 4th of July, the delegation visited Pinkenba Hub in Brisbane. The Pinkenba Hub is a facility that supports the Pacific Policing Initiative, PPI, and the Pacific Police Support Group by providing training and development opportunities, including secondment for police officers from across the Pacific. The hub focuses on enhancing of skills in policing leadership, management, administration, and operational coordination. The visit, in line with ongoing efforts to strengthen Fiji's policing capabilities, it was also an opportunity to gain an inside view of the intent and the content of the Memorandum of Understanding of the Solid-Solivachi Partnership and Police Cooperation that was signed by the police force, the Fiji Police Force, and the Australian Federal Police. We had a very comprehensive tour, Mr. Speaker, sir. Unfortunately, we were subjected to watching a very well played game that our national team put on against Australia. Unfortunately for us, they did not win. They did not lose, but they did not win. I felt that they did not lose that game. But it made the Prime Minister relax. He was very, very tense right through the meeting, knowing that our boys were capable of thrashing them. A week later, our boys were given the opportunity, and we were glad to see them win against Scotland and congratulate them, and even congratulate them on the performance against Australia. And I thank my fellow ministers who went with me and the whole delegation. We gained a lot from that visit, and I'm sure Fiji will benefit a lot when we put into action, when we operationalize a lot of the things that were discussed during the visit. We bring greetings from the Prime Minister and his cabinet, the government and the people, and the Governor General of Australia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.